what's to come. Joining me right now is Prochain Capital President David Tawil. Also joining the conversation all morning long this morning is Fox Business's Jackie DeAngelis and former Wisconsin Congressman and Fox News contributor Sean Duffy. Great to see everybody this morning. Thank you so much for being here. David, thanks for joining the conversation. And you were so spot on oil prices moving higher. What's your take on oil, given the supply-demand dynamics that you see?
All right, Maria. So I thought last year we'd hit 100. We hit 100. I didn't think we were going to go very far past 100 a couple weeks ago when we were on together. I think we're going to hang out around here. I don't think that we're going to see $120, $150 a barrel. I think governments around the world are going to do everything that they possibly can in order to go ahead and keep oil at least around 100, if not lower, maybe in the 90s. And I think that, you know, the hearing earlier this week by the House, gouged at the gas station was the title that the subcommittee gave to the meeting, just shows, you know, how far the left is willing to go in Congress in order to go ahead and create this vision of our oil companies in this country doing the worst things possible to the citizenry, that they, in fact, are the ones controlling the price of oil, and they are the ones that are making sure that citizens pay more at the gas pump. That is not true. We all know it. I thought it was a shame and a disgrace. And frankly, the Democrats would rather go ahead, pander to Iran potentially for increased oil production than to see profits at the likes of Exxon, Chevron, Pioneer, Devon, and so on.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. I mean, look, at the climate agenda is the priority, David. You know that. Look at what the SEC did the other day with their new rules for all publicly traded companies. It looks like that proposal for emissions disclosure was knocked down, but it just is another example of the priority of the left in terms of climate change agenda versus profitability for the oil companies. Would you be buying oil stocks here?
I would not. I would actually hold off right now. I think the oil companies will continue to go ahead and be profitable. I don't think that there's much that Congress can do to go ahead and make them unprofitable. As a matter of fact, yesterday, the New York State went ahead and announced a moratorium on gasoline state tax for the foreseeable future, I think till the end of the year. And so it seems like governments are realizing, at least the states are realizing, that there's not much they go ahead and do to provide relief at the gas pump by pressuring private enterprise, and what they're going to have to go ahead and do is pitch in themselves. And so I think that the oil companies will continue to go ahead and be profitable at this rate, but I don't think it's going to go ahead and increase. And by the way, I think that they are feeling the heat, those oil companies. They are putting more money into renewable resources, which I think is the long-term game for them. They understand that as well. It's not as if they're opposing, the renewable push, but they do need to go ahead and balance their traditional business of hydrocarbons and their push into future resources like renewables.
Yeah, but there's no doubt it's getting harder out there. I mean, look at the banks being pressured not to fund fossil fuel. Blackstone, months ago came out that we're no longer investing in oil and gas exploration because the tone was set at the White House. That's the way it has been for this White House and the Democrats. Meanwhile, Janet Yellen testifying yesterday, holding her first major speech on digital assets. Yellen spoke on a variety of crypto topics, including the regulatory framework, a potential timeline for a digital dollar. Here's a bit of that. I got to get your reaction. Watch.
So the president's executive order asks us to consider whether and how the issuance of a public CBDC would support this rule. I can't tell you yet the conclusions we will reach, but we must be clear that issuing a CBDC would likely present a major design and engineering challenge that would require years of development, not months.
David, did you learn anything about that yesterday? What's your take on digital assets?
Okay, so I did learn something yesterday. First of all, as a crypto-focused fund, we're incredibly bullish on cryptocurrencies broadly. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, GBTC, listed equity, MSTR, MicroStrategy. Janet Yellen went ahead and told the truth, in contrast to what Elizabeth Warren has been saying. we are not getting a CBDC, a central bank digital currency in this country anytime soon. And frankly, Ted Cruz has just put forth a bill that would go ahead and make it illegal to go ahead and issue a CBDC. And I agree with him on this. I think Elizabeth Warren is living in a fictitious land, and Janet Yellen is telling the truth, which is a central bank digital currency requires an incredible amount of resources. And in the United States, that also presents an enormous risk because the government, by having a central bank digital currency, would have so much information on citizens about how much wealth they have, where they are spending, all sorts of rights that we hold inalienable, and something that we would be very hard pressed to go ahead and part with, is not going to happen quickly. I don't think it's going to happen at all. But Janet Yellen, at the very least, is saying it's not happening anytime soon. And I think that that's a good thing. That means that we will not have a central bank digital currency. However, the U.S. will continue to remain the world's reserve currency, and for purposes of crypto assets in the United States, and I think most of the free world, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the likes of other crypto assets will continue to reign supreme and gain prominence. What's going on this weekend in Miami, the Bitcoin 2022 conference, is creating great headlines and showing great promise for crypto.
Yeah, we had the mayor of Miami, Suarez, on the other day, and he's really trying to compete with Silicon Valley with crypto and with lots of businesses moving to Miami. Real quick, David, on earnings, first quarter earnings going to begin next week. Any thoughts going into the earnings season on how to allocate money here?
I think that we've had a substantial pullback in the market over the first couple of months of the year. I think that earnings are not going to be hit that hard. I think they'll be strong. I think people should be bullish going into earnings. The only thing that I would caution people to watch for is the commentary, what CEOs are going to be saying about what the second quarter is looking like. I don't think the first quarter has been damaged all that much, but I think the second quarter could be harder.
Yeah, people are expecting a real slowdown second half, that's for sure. David, it's good to see you this morning. Thanks so much for all of that. Always
Thank you, Maria.
a pleasure.